Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Screen Rot Podcast, the podcast where we discuss the weirdest and worst content that's been written on our screens and indeed our minds. Shout out to everyone who subscribes to us over on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube. Big shout out to the patrons who pay for this podcast, the £3.99 Freemasons who get an extra episode every single week, the $5.99 Illuminati who get a free hat on sign up. We have to give a big shout out to Eugene who runs our Twitter account. He may actually be God, and most importantly, and nevertheless, a big wink and a kiss. Mwah! To the ladies who listen, who are indeed some of the most gorgeous and sexy ladies in the United Kingdom of Britain. And I'm here, as always, with Jake Farrell.
Two Javas in. Always excited to find out what we could say at any point.
That was a perfect intro.
Yeah,
that
you didn't miss it.
That is the first time I didn't miss anything. Yes. I didn't mispronounce, misspeak at any point. That, if we wanted to speed time up, we could just chop that up and just copy and paste that.
Just in at the beginning of every week.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, and specifically ladies,
yes.
Ladies.
Oh.
That's a mixture of Daniel Ewan Henderson and a friend of mine who speaks a bit like a pigeon.
Yes.
Just makes that noise. Big one. Now, let's talk policy.
Please. We've got very few rules on this podcast.
The thing, when we made this, we didn't know if anyone would listen to it. We always said to ourselves, we'll do 100 episodes, see where we are. We're sort of 3/4 of the way there now.
People listening is actually the last thing we need, really.
It's fucking not ideal. Especially the fact that people keep going back and listening to old ones, because I've said some stuff.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
I
think that some of those episodes might get lost in a server fire on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, whoopsie. I might pay someone actually to go back and listen and find, like, you said you did crack, you said you think this about this comedian. No, he told us how much Tom Rosenthal earns.
Yeah, that was last week. We won't have any episodes left.
We'll show people a bit of the how the sausage was made. I was initially going to do this podcast on my own, you might remember. I came up with the idea, and then I thought, no, it has to be with Jake, and then we messaged you, and you were like, yeah, we'll do it. We recorded a couple of pilot episodes.
Yeah, it only took us about 7 months to get to the first episode.
It took a long time. Constantly messaging Vittoria Angeloni. Vittoria, is your old Uncle Jacob here? Hope you're doing well. See you doing very well on the internet, my friend. The light, is it an on and off switch, or what do we do there? Is it... Victoria was us again. We bought the camera, but we don't know how to get it out of the box.
The camera's overheating. It's red hot. It's red hot, Victoria.
Do we take it out of the oven, Victoria? What's going on? But one of the things that we set up at the beginning, because, we never want to come across as arseholes or bullies. You don't want to be... And I don't know if we've always
failed on that.
We've failed
quite a few times, yeah.
But we set up a few rules, which we only stuck to a few times. One of them was don't do anyone with less than 100k followers.
Yes.
And we've broken that loads of times.
Yeah. Well, that was... So this is the thing. A lot of the policies are being made in real time. Would you believe it? We had not fully thought this out when we started it. I know that might be hard to imagine. We hadn't come up with policies for every eventuality on starting the podcast.
Believe it or not, we don't have returns policies on hats.
No, yeah, we hadn't thought out what profit and loss is. We hadn't added up the cost of the hats and subtracted it from the money that we receive in order to send someone the hat.
We didn't think the Son of God would be doing our social media for us.
Someone sent literally by God would be doing our Twitter account for us.
We were like, okay, they have to either have 100,000 followers or come from rich parents.
Yes, or ideally both.
And we were like, let's not do female content creators. Let's not do episodes where we talk about female content creators. Why? Because often we do this with a kind of tone of taking the piss out of people, with a tone of gently ribbing people. And I think it's just about the power dynamics of that is okay, because we're kind of nobodies doing it about people who are often far more successful than us. This podcast is kind of done through social media. Like the way we find new listeners is using Twitter and Instagram, and we've got much smaller followings than any of the people we talk about. But we always thought it would look a bit ugly, taking the mick out of a woman.
And evidenced by what we're about to do today. I guess that we were open to the possibility of it happening, but we wanted to be careful about as and when, which subject it would be that we would do that, right? It was never like a hard and fast rule of like, it was impossible to do it. There were loads of male subjects that we kept getting sent.
And
it
is a male-heavy world.
It is
at least our algorithms are.
Yeah, well, that's part of it as well. And then B, it's like, what would it look like and what kind of person would it need to be? And one thing that I'm kind of like about the podcast, I think it's slightly evolved over time in that it is like an investigation of internet culture somewhat now. Yep. I know, and it is also a lot of stupid jokes and...
Yeah,
about.
I think it's a mental health podcast about. I do think it is a mental health podcast about like the slow breakdown of masculinity in modern society.
Yeah,
and it's a thing about social media.
And we say bosh a lot as well.
Yeah.
Those are the big three.
And then there's a lot of cuckolding chat.
And there's a lot of cock chat as well. But this person, whether they're male or female, what's happened to the person that we're going to talk to today merits that level of conversation based on what we're trying to talk
what's
about.
the It's funny because I'm sat in your beautiful flat. And I will just quickly say one thing as well. One thing that I think I did say on the Patreon is that like the first time we discuss a girl, we'll have a girl. We've only ever had one guest. John Kearns came and spoke about Porky But I was like, if we do a girl, maybe we'll get a girl guest. And I said, yeah, okay. And I do still want the next guest we have to be a girl. That it is just genuinely hard matching up my schedule and yours. You know, bring women into it with all the stuff they've got going on, with fucking chatting and what they shopping and that. It's hard.
Yeah, they'd have to bring their dollies with them.
But I'm looking around your flat now, right?
Yes.
Your beautiful
My fancy boy flat.
Your fancy boy flat. Your angel boy twink flat.
Yeah.
Right. And you got a lot of books. And one thing that they have in fiction, is the Bechamel test, right? Where
sorry, what?
Is the Bechamel test, where if
please
a woman
please say that is a joke.
What do you mean?
Please say that what you just said is a joke and you know the real name for it.
So in the test, it's about whether
you know what bechamel is, don't you?
So it's whether you...
No, it's not.
What do you mean?
You're joking. You're having me on.
What do you mean? In the Bechamel test, it's about...
In the Bechamel test, the bechamel
not
is a
Bechamel,
cheese
the
sauce.
Bechamel.
It's the Bechdel test. What are you saying?
Bechamel? Bechamel. It's the test where... If there's a woman
enough
involved,
cheese on your croque monsieur.
No, not bechamel.
Right.
Bechamel.
It's not that. Stop saying that. Why are you saying that for? It's the Bechdel test.
Beck. What, B-E-C-K?
Yes. No, B-E-C-H-D-E-L,
Bechamel.
I think.
No, okay, whatever it is. In this test,
yes,
right, which it's about...
Some bird came up with.
Some fucking woman was rabbiting on about in my ear one day.
No, come on, do it now. You started
right.
it now.
It's about whether you have a woman... Whether you talk about a woman in your piece of fiction, or whether you introduce a female character, can you do it without them being there to service a man?
Yes.
Right? They're not just there as someone's mum. They're not just there as someone's missus. Are you Googling the Bechamel test?
Yeah, that's not what you just said. It's not. You're not far off, but I want to get it right.
I don't know what it says about us. That the first woman who we can talk about in nearly 70 episodes is famous for spitting on cocks.
Well, yeah, I guess. So it's a...
Now, listen, we don't want to bully anyone, and we're very aware of power dynamics. So we're going to talk about a powerful lady now who spat on a penis.
The test is that the
Is it Bechamel or is it Bechdel?
It's not Bechamel, no. It's Bechdel. It's...
I don't know how I got that wrong. I don't read. I can't read.
They have to have at least two female characters. Those characters talk to each other, and then the most important thing that everyone remembers is those characters have to talk about something that isn't a man.
It's talking about things that aren't men.
It's a way of evaluating a script, or a piece of fiction.
I don't know if she passes that, and that's kind of on her because no one wrote her.
No, they didn't.
Did you know this is a funny intro, mate? Because usually in the intro we talk about any old bollocks. We talk about what we've had for dinner.
We're actually talking about the subject.
We're talking about the subject. We're teeing it up. Should we just get in? Should we just jump in?
I think we should get into it.
Is there any admin to cover? I'm still plugging the Dents, DNSE. You can, if you want to stop male pattern baldness, check out Dents, Jacob 30 at checkout. Get yourself 30% off. What else is there? I'm on tour. I will be on tour. We've got a nice little plan actually. Yeah. The tour starts middle of Feb, 12th of Feb. Birmingham, then Leeds, then Salford, then back down to fucking Crawley.
Yes.
I was about to say I don't know who planned that. I know exactly who planned that. Thank you, Charlie, at Live Nation. No, she's great. But yeah, so come along, come watch us on tour.
Come and see us on tour.
Having a really good time on the tour.
Unfortunately, the Rotties, 31st of January, completely sold out, so we won't be able to see you there. But
completely sold out.
It will be properly filmed by the wonderful Ed, who does the filming for us.
Yeah.
It'll be on the Patreon. If you want to watch it, you know what to do. Sign up to the Patreon. It'll be on there.
Yeah, if you want to see the Rotties, if you want to watch what happened. And by the way, some of the stuff we've got planned for that is nutty. So I think that will be not long after this.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be the week after this, yeah. Wow. Coming around quick. Should probably write the show.
Let's get into it. This week, ladies and gentlemen, a very special episode. The first lady of Screen Rock.
The first lady on the main feed of Screen Rock. We've talked about some ladies on the Patreon feed. We've talked about Ariana Grande on there and the other lady that was in Wicked. We've talked about a few others. But the first ever...
How's our Betchmel test going with that? We can only remember one of their names. We're the worst Betchmel men in the world.
Betchmel test. So good.
This week we are talking about Hailey
Welch.
Hailey Welch, a.k.a. the Hawk Tuah.
Spit on that thing. Oi, get on this.
Very excited to.
Hailey Welch, the Hawk Tuah girl,
The Hawk Tuah
is almost a perfectly scripted Greek tragedy of a modern American life. She has had like an almost perfect, I don't know if you learned about this in English or drama, like there was like some conventions of what a Greek tragedy would have.
Listen, I'll stop you now, mate. I thought it was called the Betchmel. I wasn't doing loads of listening in English and drama.
But I remember that there would be things that'd be like a Greek tragedy would always have like a hero that would kind of come from nothing to be something.
Yep.
Then through like their kind of their, I think they used to call it pride or their like hubris. I think that was the Greek thing. They would then crashed back down to earth. They would receive like kind
Icarus,
of
too close to the sun, wings melt, down.
Bosh, bechamel.
Fucking Oedipus, going well. King fucks his mum, puts his beads in his eyes, put a badge in his eyes.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
And Hailey Welch has had that, but at this kind of like internet warp speed where what has happened to her life is kind of terrifying in its intensity and terrifying in what's happened to her. And I think I feel sorry for her overall.
We should say, and it's hard with this, and it's really hard whenever we, as you say, the speed of internet culture is so fast that like we'll often, I mean, fuck me, we've done 2 episodes on Bevo and we still can't keep up. Do you know what I mean? It's like by the time we've filled up the Google Doc with what we want to say with Bevo and how worried we are, and my God, are we worried?
God, we're worried.
Like, you put the episode out, a day later, he's created a Pornhub account.
Yeah.
And you go, Christ, I watched an hour-long documentary on him, and even that wasn't enough because now he's pivoted into pornography.
He's jumped the shark of that documentary already.
Exactly. And so it's like, what do? Do you just do another one? But by the time we've filmed another one, God knows what he'll be doing.
That's so fucking true.
We can't
We've
keep
now been
up.
going long enough to see these mad arcs happen in real time, haven't we?
I mean, like Ahmed Yaqub, the Brummie lawyer. We found him when he was a lawyer making a good deal of money defending people who seemed a little bit guilty.
Guilty.
Within weeks, we're having to record another one because he's running for
mayor of
Parliament. So with the Hawk Tuah, we should say right now at the time of recording, she's quiet.
She's gone quiet on social media for reasons we'll get into.
Yeah, so we'll explain now why she's gone quiet. And there was a rumour within our Patreon group chat. Shout out the Patreon group chat, by the way, because what a place that is.
Yes.
Any time.
It's so funny. There's so much good stuff in there. It's crazy.
Also, it's quite sweet. Like people will talk about the podcast. People will talk about things we spoke about on the podcast. The other day, someone just popped up and showed everyone a loaf of bread that he made. Oh no, this is fucking beautiful. Quality. This is great. But so do you want to explain where we are with Hailey at the time of recording?
And I think this is almost like redundant to explain the origin story now. But if you've been living under a rock, you're not. You somehow listen to this podcast that aren't aware of who Haliey Welch, the Hawk Tuah girl is. Haliey Welch was a girl from Tennessee, and she got interviewed by one of those Vox Pops things on the street, and they're basically looking for
they're like lampposts now. You just expect them to be there.
Yeah, and they seem to be in like American kind of university towns where people are out getting drunk. The ethics of them are very strange, I think, because like this is what can happen, right? So she's getting interviewed by this bloke on the street, shoves a mic in her face. She's pissed, and he asks her this famous question. Should we just watch this just to get it out of the way?
We have. You can't do the Hawk Tuah and not do it.
Yeah, that would be really screenwriter actually, just to never actually get to it. But this is where it all started.
He's on your roster.
There's only one I want. I love you, Pookie, forever.
She's pissed.
How do you get over a breakup?
The only way to get over one is get under another. Get the cobwebs off this thing.
This mother don't miss.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing. You get me?
Now, that's...
What a woman. What a woman.
Can I just say that, like, at the time... I think that she really reminded me of the Fenton bloke. Do you remember Fenton? I think I've talked about this before. It's the guy whose dog was running around Richmond Park and chasing deer, and he got filmed, and he's like, Fenton! Come back here, Fenton! And like, she has slightly more agency in it because she's agreed to be interviewed.
She walked in front of a camera.
Yeah, but she can have no sense of what is about to happen next. That clip goes beyond viral, supernova viral, like 50 million views on the original, all the rest of it. Everyone knows that part of the story, I think. But you can't, like, in her eyes at that point, she's pissed. She's on a night out. Can you consent to doing something that, like, that could lead to that? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, so here's where I think you and I are going to have differing opinions on the Hawk Tuah.
Right.
So, you don't have her age to hand?
No, I don't off the top of my head, no. I think she's
it would be a
quite young, right?
Quick and easy Google search.
I would guess in her early to mid-20s.
She's the first... I mean, obviously, we're talking about her right now, and the phone's obviously fucking listening to me. But she is the first thing that comes up when you Google the word Hailey now.
Right.
Oh, fuck, I'm trying to find her age. If I just do Haliey Welch age, this is a great podcast. Yeah.
22.
It says there 22. Yeah. She's 22. They think it's yeah. Then there's one being like, is she dead? She's not dead.
Haliey Welch is 22.
So she it's probably a bit muddy. She's definitely, I would say she's 100% under 25.
I would agree with that.
Now, in my opinion, that makes her Gen Z.
Yes.
Now, your thing with this is that she was innocently walking along the street, pissed. Someone shoves a camera in her face.
Yeah.
She talks to the guy behind the camera as if she's talking to her pal.
Yes.
And I think the tone of the Haliey Welch, the Hawk Tuah, I think what's really appealing about her is the way you do not see someone handle sexuality on the internet with that level of... The word I would use is almost carelessness. Like
it's funny.
It's funny, right? But it's also like not scripted, silly funny. She's not being a character.
No.
She's being really honest and genuine.
Yeah.
But usually, and we should say, by the way, she's like a pretty young woman.
Yes.
Right? She's a good-looking girl.
Conventionally attractive young woman.
It is incredibly rare nowadays that you will see a really attractive young woman on the internet being incredibly sexually explicit.
Right.
And it's not pussy in bio.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Not 100 lads in the queue.
There is no kind of like marketing pull of like, I'm going to be sexually explicit in a really kind of like serious and like, oh, I mean it, I will do this way. And I'm saying that so that you will click a link in my bio and give me money to watch videos of me. Like, And I think even in this video, it's clear that that's not what she's doing.
It's almost, I think she almost sounds like a kind, and I know it's a very sexually explicit thing to say, she almost sounds a little bit like a middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a little bit like a kind of like, oh, I've been around the block, but there's an incongruity between how she looks and how she's behaving.
This is
you know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah. But I think it's like, we've sort of spoken about, we've mentioned the Hawk Tuah on our Patreon a couple of times, and what we like about her is it. I think we've kind of speculated in the past that this is. This is maybe how women speak amongst themselves when it comes to sexuality. It's fun, it's offhand, it's very casual, and there's no kind of...
There's no seriousness behind it, yeah.
However, do I think she was doing that to make people fancy her to sell, pussy in bio OnlyFans? No, right? However, she is Gen Z.
Right.
And I know from pals like Jeff Norcott, who gets a mention on this podcast every month or so. He's got a boy who's just under 10.
Right.
And
Jeff's not Gen Z.
No,
Jeff up for?
and his boy's not Gen Z, but he makes the point. He's told me a few times that like, if you went into his boy's class at school and said to his boy and his mates, what would you want to be when you're older? They would all say YouTubers
and TikTokers.
I think this age group that the Hawk Tuah is, they would say similar.
So you're saying she has an awareness of the culture of the bloke that's sticking the microphone
100%.
in her face.
And I it would not surprise me if you could find another vox pop of the Hawk Tuah from like 6 months ago.
Somewhere else.
Where it was a different channel, the wrong lighting.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? And she'd said the identical thing.
And it just hadn't quite
And I'm
caught.
not saying she's not pissed. I'm not saying she's necessarily looking for a camera.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like in the same way we've said in the past that like this whole vox pop thing, it is a thing now. I see comedians doing it sometimes.
Yeah. It's weird.
Why?
I just think that like if it had been about, obviously there was camera phones and stuff when we were at uni, but like there wasn't anything like this so much. Maybe there was stuff that I don't know but it never really got to that point. I just think you could have caught me saying all manner of stupid shit.
Fucking hell. Are you kidding me?
You'd have been
Saying,
really
doing. I'd
sniffing.
be fucked. Oh my god.
Yeah.
When I was 22,
Right.
I had to be carried out of a nightclub screaming for my dad because I K-holed on the dance floor. Yeah. Who wants to vox pop that guy? Do you know what I mean? I wasn't going out on a night out with words on the tip of my tongue, ready to say down a camera with the right thing and the right kind of comic timing that's going to make me go viral. And then I no longer work in a spring factory. I work in a spring factory. No longer work in a spring factory. I've now got a podcast called the Hawk Tuah podcast where I ask famous comedians whether they spit on cocks or not. I wasn't... That's not how I went about my life in my early 20s. Even like 3 or 4 years ago, as a stand-up comedian, I did not whose job it is to boost my own profile, to try and reach as big an audience as possible. I didn't have words on the tip of my tongue ready to answer a question. You and I have joked about this in the past. So Jake and I, as comedians, a few years ago. Neither of us really do it anymore, but we used to go up to the Edinburgh Fringe, which is, a comedy festival up in Edinburgh where, comedians will take shows up there, and the idea is...
It's a mixture of comedians and paedophiles.
Yeah, it's largely paedophiles.
It's largely
So
paedophiles.
some of them are comedians as well.
Some of them are clowns, actors.
Yeah, drama teachers.
Most of them are paedophiles, I think.
But the idea is you go up there with your show and you get seen by the industry and your career takes off, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so what you'll do, you'll pay a PR agent to get you interviewed by... like comedy blogs,
fringewizard.com.
And if you're lucky, maybe a newspaper or the List, a magazine.
Edinburgh
like
Theatre Reviews.org.uk.
What blows my mind, and you honestly, any comedian you like will have done this over the years. You will spend between £1,500 and £2,500.
Yeah, just off the top of your head, something like 2,150 to Gabby Gerard PR, something like that.
To a lady called Gabby or a lady called Mel.
Yes.
And I mean, I went with like a really good PR agency one year, and I swear they had about 1,000 of these Hollies and Kitties and fucking Izzies who would, nice young ladies who would get me in contact with journalists, and the journalist, bear in mind, no one's reading this shit apart from us. So the journalist doesn't really want to ask me what my favourite favourite fucking jacket potato filling is when I go to Edinburgh. And yet I would pay the Izzies and the Hollies to get me in contact with these journalists. These journalists would finally go, okay, I will interview unknown comedian Jacob Hawley in the hope that he might sell some tickets. And then every single time, the comedian, when responding, and it's always via email, every now and then via phone, will respond to the questions with a kind of truculence as if they can't be bothered to answer. Do you know what I mean? A kind of too cool for school. What do I do at Edinburgh? I don't know. I'm busy doing my show. Like, it's like you've paid £2.5 grand to be interviewed, and now you're trying to be cool about it. I don't know. Just focus on my show, really. I should have had a Hawk Tuah on the tip of my tongue. I should have spent the early and middle parts of my career. I like that I'm saying I'm at the end of it now. That's Freudian. I should have spent the early and middle parts of my career with my Hawk Tuah ready on the tip of my tongue. So when I say that I think that she was ready with this answer, I'm not saying it begrudgingly.
No.
I'm not shitting on her. I'm saying that I do believe that for much of her generation, man or woman, what's happened to her is the dream.
Right.
This is the dream.
And she's a really good communicator in, like, well, self-evidently, in this kind of environment of, like, stick a microphone in your face, say something funny and interesting. Bang, she's got it. She's good at it.
Yes.
She's not sat there going, I don't know, I just spend a lot of time writing my show, I guess.
Now, you may believe that's, look, she's potted out of a club, half pissed, someone's done it, and it just turns out she's got this magical personality that 25 years ago, she would have been a TV presenter, they would have found her. Nowadays, that doesn't happen, but she just is. She's the funniest in her friendship group. She's an honest, down-to-earth girl, and she just happened to just say, I'd Hawk Tuah spit on that thing. It makes them go crazy, right? I personally believe that a lot of Gen Z grow up imagining those answers in their head because they've grown up at a time where you walk around and people ask you that kind of question with a ring light in your face.
Or it is common for you to yourself, and this is again something we've battled with, it's common for you yourself to film yourself saying pithy and interesting things and putting them on the internet.
Exactly. And this is how often have we done an episode like this, especially with the Americans actually, where it doesn't take too much digging to realise this is like their 7th attempt at trying to go viral.
Yeah, clearly she was like, she conceived of herself as enough of a personality to answer these questions honestly and to want to get laughs out of them. So I think, like, kind of if we take that as read of like this viral fame has been thrust upon her in the way that it kind of was for like Jackie Weaver or whatever, but she's more prepared for it because she's Gen Z and she's funny. What I think was kind of interesting then is like after that there was a sense of like, shit, this thing has happened, and actually people kind of felt a bit protective of her, I think, in that it was like there was an initial thing of like, oh God, how embarrassing. And then it was like, actually people, particularly it seemed to me celebrities, like Jake Paul gave her the podcast on his media company, were like, actually, fuck it, own it. You're funny, you're interesting. Let's make you loads of money out of it. That felt like it was the next step then at that point.
Yeah, and I remember like straight away after she did the famous interview, I remember the immediate question, as I say, was like, "Are you going to do OnlyFans now?"
Right.
And her, I remember her answer again. It was like fucking like if Worm Industries PR had sat down and created this character,
they couldn't have done it.
They wouldn't have got it so perfect because her, like Southern accent. I couldn't do that. My daddy would never let me do that. I don't want to do that. I got my pookie. And then there was this like, and this is like, I don't think Americans are ready to admit this.
Right.
I think a lot of it is people fancy her. I think an awful lot of it. Sorry to fail the Bechamel test, right? But I do think a lot of it. She's got what Americans would call girl next door attractiveness.
Right, I see what you mean.
Have you heard that phrase?
Yeah, I think that kind of like down home, authentic, funny, interesting.
Yeah. And I don't really know how that's not just why everyone's attractive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what is someone who's attractive? Not in a girl next door.
I guess it would be like a kind of like a
flashy.
Well, or like male or female. It would be like someone who's like a model, like more of. Do you know what I mean?
But
like,
she could be a model.
Well, I know, but like
she's really good looking.
Yes, but then if you think of her like a proper like a Vogue model, like 6'4", like really thin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're not a girl next door figure.
I'm not
are
laughing
they?
at you. I'm laughing at like this is what I think is so ridiculous about this concept, right? I think what they kind of mean is that like you're kind of like a 7.5 to 9 out of 10 attractiveness, which means you're kind of attainable in my eyes, and you would talk to me, right? I think that's how the male American brain has defined being girl next door attractive, and it's like,
Just
okay,
attractive.
well that's like like what 40% of the population,
Yeah.
and what you've just described is like 0.001%.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. And
Like,
so
everyone is girl
so
next
she
door.
had that. She had that going for her, right? That she was conventionally attractive. She was someone who there was like an authenticity to her. She said this. What's the word? She has this personality to her that I mean, she's with a friend there who I think does the podcast with her now.
But crucially as well, the friend pisses herself laughing.
Yeah,
that
right.
is such a big thing.
It's
that
like
the friend
this is the
There's
funny
the
person in our
punchline.
friendship. There's
Yeah.
the funny person in our friendship group. So then this video is then the kind of the way that she introduced herself more formally to the world. I don't think we'll watch all of it because it's like a minute and 20 seconds long. But this is like the kind of origin story of the Hawk Tuah girl.
I'm Hailey and I'm from Belfast, Tennessee. It's a little small area near Lewisburg.
So they are really playing on the girl next door vibe or the down home southern girl.
It's really been a blessing.
So this was the beginning of her claiming it.
It's crazy. I never thought it.
Her grand's talking about it.
Happens. Just it's too much to comprehend.
But like,
I really had no idea that one night in Broadway having fun with your friends and everything else would change your whole life around.
Right.
it's like she's going off to war.
This is what I no, but it's
that with the Daily Mail, you know.
I mean that
Somebody
is
they didn't know
fucking-
to come in and ask a question.
for anyone
About
listening.
somebody we don't
You're
care
on
about. So everybody kind of went
the
in.
most Southern American
Yeah.
ever seen in your fucking life.
Just like drone shots of her neighborhood while like people are like, we do a protective of her.
It's a Granny Jane.
As long as I'm here.
I just wanted to stay with me as long as I'm here. Just patting a horse. It's kind of like a country music video.
And this is the come up, right? She says, I'm not moving to
I'm
Los
staying
Angeles.
here
I'm
with
staying
Granny
here with Granny
forever.
forever. So she's sticking to that brand. She's sticking to the roots.
Right.
But like, this scares me, right? Because we've talked about like the internet being like playing with forces you can't understand. And I feel like that when we're doing this podcast every day, actually. I feel like
Yeah.
that there's like always something. There's always a grenade out there waiting. The internet has crept under these people's doorways and in through their windows, and now Granny Jane's having to do interviews with people.
I don't know, man.
Could she have just shut this down? You think she could have put this? I think
she's got fucking drone shots, Jake. This is not like, oh my god, what will I do with my fame? She knows exactly what to fucking do. You couldn't.
No, I disagree.
You haven't got politicians that know how to
But
appeal
that
to
is the
people as
media
well as
company.
that.
That is the media company that has said we can make money out of this person. She's not commissioning the drone shots herself.
Okay. Are your grandparents still around?
No, sadly not.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. No worries.
We'll move on. No, I'm joking. Right, my nan's still around.
Yes.
Yeah. Say I go viral tomorrow, I get 1 million followers.
Right.
For saying I'll spit on a cock. Yeah. But for that, so say I walk out of your flat now,
Yes.
right, off down Camberwell High Street, you know, some kid in a fucking tracksuit corners me with a ring light and
Yeah.
goes, "How do you go down on women?" And I say I'll spit on it. 1 million hits. Jacob's the new star of the world.
Yes.
If you interviewed my nan,
Yes.
she wouldn't be speaking like that.
So you think she's a paid actor?
I don't think she's a paid actor.
Is this our Alex Jones moment?
No, I don't. No, I don't think she's a paid actor. I think there is
There's all openness to it.
It feels like they've been waiting to do this. I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly cynical.
I think you're being
now.
too overly cynical.
But
I see people.
It's so perfect. Granny Jane. The other fella, he looks like Father Christmas if he was a fucking racist.
But that's what I'm
they're,
saying.
They're so perfectly southern.
That's what I'm saying. That
and
if
the
you were a
last line
media
of it,
company that
I'm not moving to LA or New York. I'm staying here with Granny Jane. It's like people would fucking vote for that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is that like, if you came in there and you went, all right, what 2 people are we going to put on camera along with Hawk Tuah girl? Granny Jane, you're in. You look exactly like we imagine you.
Yep.
You're going to look. Who's that bloke over there? The one that says he's
Fuck
protecting.
that is, yeah.
The bloke that lives down the road.
That's what you want.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is that like this thing has happened to her, and then these people come along and say, look, you don't have to be ashamed about this. We can help you make money out of this. I think, yes, there is an openness to it, but also, can you imagine people knocking down your door? You've got 50 million views. The Daily Mail turn up at your house.
Yeah,
Some of my mates, right, are...
My nan would say something racist. Like, do you know? This is what I'm saying. It's too perfect.
But that's kind of what's happened to her life, is that eventually, and we'll get to the kind of fall in a minute, but this moment, this looks like three people who are just like, we've fucking hell, well, there's 10 journalists out here. Jake Paul's media company have turned up and they've said, we're going to help you make money out of this. You don't have to be ashamed about this. It's going to be all right. I'd fucking go along with them.
Right.
Mate.
They want it. They want it.
I guess.
They are famous. You know, like when people, like the auditions round of the X Factor.
Yes.
Yeah. Like when fucking pushy mum and little fucking mad Jeremy, who's been singing in his bedroom into his his mum's hairbrush for a year, when they're in the queue to go next, and they're going to get interviewed before he goes in front of Simon, and then interviewed after, and we're going to see mum talking while he's in there. Do you think they're practicing their do, re, mi, fa, so? Or do you think they're going, right, remember, you had conjunctivitis last year, you didn't go to school for 2 weeks, you were bullied because of your fucking eyesight, everyone thinks you're disgusting at school, you might actually have some mental health stuff going on, let's really play that up a little bit. I'll make sure that I cry while you're in there.
It's not a good analogy. It's not a good analogy, though, because they're
ready for it.
No, but when you queue up for the X Factor, you have a reasonable expectation. I mean, the X Factor's not even on the telly, I don't think, anymore. When that was happening, that was the biggest show on TV. You had a reasonable expectation that a product of being famous off that would be huge fame, right? Yes, she's willing to speak to this bloke in the street. She's willing to say Hawk Tuah. It's not reasonable to imagine that what happened to her happened after that.
I think it is. I think you're being naive about the way Gen Z view the internet and view the fact.
But there's only been one of her. That's not happening every week, right?
What was Jake Paul?
But he was a YouTuber over many, many years. This was overnight.
I suspect if you did enough digging, you'd find. I do think there would be something where she's had a go.
Well, like kind of AJ Big Justice stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say there'd be something. Go for like, what did she study? I bet there'll be some fucking like media shit in there. Maybe. I guarantee it. I don't know. We'll watch. But I guess our different approaches is you feel like this is a kind of beautiful. It's happened to the right person. She genuinely does.
I feel sorry for her. I feel like this is like
she's fucking minted.
I feel like this is
she's just taken everyone's Hawk coins.
Well, we'll get to that. I feel I'm really going into bat for her.
She's taken all the Hawk coins.
But I'm really going into bat for her as like this tragic figure. But we're about to find out about some fucking meme coins in a second. But anyway, so this next one, I think. So yeah, she's. Well, I think we'll kind of skip on a bit to like. So that's the come up, right? She ends up with this podcast, and then she ends up in the next bit talking to her benefactor, her benevolent, kind old gentleman, Jake Paul.
Are you going to bet on Tyson?
So I think I am going to bet on Tyson, but I want to make like a side bet with you.
Okay, what's the side bet?
Okay, so if you win, then I'm going to get a better tattoo. But if I win, then you got to do a drag show and let me and Chelsea do your hair and makeup.
Oh, hell no, I'm not doing a drag show. Absolutely not.
Okay.
When I win, you have to get a better tattoo, but
surely
if Tyson wins, then I'll get a Hawk Tuah tattoo.
Okay, I'm fair. I'm fair with that.
All right, deal.
So she's gone from that, right? And there's another video we're not going to watch where she ends up on stage with this country musician called Zach Bryan, who's like the biggest country musician.
I've seen that, yeah.
And she's in front of like 80,000 people. It's really surreal shit, right? She's gone from this thing to like, she's just on stage in front of 90,000 people at this stadium in Denver. She's talking to Jake Paul on this podcast that he's kind of given her called Talk to Her, which is a great name. It feels like they started with a name and worked backwards. And so you're saying she's an industry plant. She's ready for all of this.
No, I'm not quite saying she's an industry plant. I think that young people of her age, when I was like a lot younger than her, but like, when I was like 10, I was like, right, I'll come through Arsenal's academy, play for Arsenal for a bit, but I'll definitely want to play abroad.
Sure.
Barcelona would suit my playing style for a bit. But I'd love to, just in the same way that Vieira went to Juventus, I'd love to go to Juventus one day.
You want to experience Italian culture.
And they've got like, this was the time they had a great European pedigree. I think I could win the Champions League with Juventus, but I'd 100% end my career with Arsenal. Right. So if I ever did...
Before managing them, of course.
Yeah. And then I'd probably move into like, chief exec territory, because I'd want to oversee transfers and ultimately bring in a new coach who followed my philosophy, right? Cruyff. That was when I laid awake at night as a kid.
That was how you mapped it out.
I'm not saying that when she was 10, she was like, and I'll tell him I spit on that thing, right?
Yes.
But I imagine there was I would fucking bet there was it would be podcast for me. Right. I bet.
I see what you mean.
I would fucking
I'm the funny
bet.
one in my friendship group. Everybody says I should have a podcast.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What fucking loser would do that?
Imagine wanting to be a podcaster. but yeah.
I know what you mean.
Do you know what? I remember like a few years ago when I used to do the BBC Sounds podcasts, right? And like I don't know if I was on the radio or TalkSport or something where they had to introduce me. They used to say Jacob Hawley, comedian and podcaster, and I always used to be like, I wish you wouldn't fucking say podcaster.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is kind of lame. But it's because to me, podcasting was fucking, I don't know, like Ellis James and fucking.
So you're saying generationally,
or like I just didn't grow up thinking podcasts were a cool thing,
right?
Because to me, they were like
going on. Jonathan Ross was the exactly.
Well, she has grown up with like
talking to Jake Paul on a podcast. He's heard Jonathan Ross.
Is her move to Juventus to win the Champions League. And it's not that I think she's an industry plant. I think that generation have such
social media stardom is what they
has such an awareness of the path that would follow virality.
Right.
Because they have seen it before. You and I can't name another Hawk Tuah because we're not fucking watching this shit.
Right.
How many Vox Pops do you watch? I can name another Hawk Tuah. Fuck, well, I say that, I can't remember his name. There's a kid. Oh my god! I think he's called JLB or he's called YJ.
Right.
Yeah, he's called YJ. Fucking hell. Okay, I can't believe I'm bringing this.
Was he the guy that we talked about and he did the song and it ended up being a really good song?
Well, yeah.
It ended up becoming
okay. It was this kid, right? And I think it's okay to say he has. I say he's a kid. He's like 21.
Okay.
Right. He has visible learning difficulty. I think he's diagnosed with autism, dyspraxia. Like he's got visible learning difficulties. Right. So he went viral, and he's got this song. And it's called No Diddy.
Yes.
Right. And basically,
is that before the allegations or is that in
sort
Diddy
of
allegations?
mid allegations? But this kid is so whatever, right? But basically, he got Vox popped on Oxford Street.
Yes.
Right. They said something like, I don't know, what would you have for dinner? And he just went, grabbed the microphone and started doing this rap.
Right. Went viral.
And then there's more rap. And then there's more rap. And then he releases the rap on Spotify.
Yes.
Then on YouTube.
Yes.
Then he's doing podcast appearances. Then fucking, what's her name? Astrid Wet.
Yes.
That's the most disgusting name. I'm sorry, I don't want to fucking shame anyone. Yeah. But if you're going to become a porn star, you're going to give yourself a porn star name. Astrid Wet. It's like fucking Mrs. Cum. It's disgusting. But he ended up in her house with the other little Leah, the little small woman that she does it with.
Right.
It's her and this other one live together in his house, just making contact together, pretending to be lesbians.
So horrible.
This kid got dropped off at this house.
Yes.
Did the video, walks around. There's someone behind the camera. He's going, why does everyone think they're the hardest? This is, what the fuck am I talking about? This is gibberish.
What's the purpose of this story?
A young kid doing a rap, right? And he's walking around with the OnlyFans stars, and it's all just to boost profile.
Yes.
More hits on the song, the rap, right? Now, you might, in the same way that you might look at Hawk Tuah and go, she was just walking down the street and she just told him she wanted to Hawk Tuah. This fucking kid... It's sort of been uncovered. He's been going around trying to do this for years.
Right.
It's like he knows where the Vox Poppers are.
Right.
And has been going around trying to get viral.
Okay, so if we can kind of agree to disagree then on like how far it's like
how
she wants
intentional
it,
this
how
could
intentional.
be. Yes.
What maybe we can agree on is that once you let that wolf through the door,
yes,
you can't then say to the wolf, would you actually just mind sitting at the table rather than doing a big poo in the middle?
I mean, this is it.
Do you know what I mean?
YJ's not done much in the last few months.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's like but also it's like you're with Astrid Wet. You're suddenly on stage with Zach Bryan. He
didn't look gutted to be around Astrid Wet. I'll tell you that. This young lad. He didn't look like.
But you know what I mean? It's like that. Like whether you're intent, you can want it. And by the way, like not that we're anywhere near the level of Hawk Tuah, but like. There's a feeling of like we did want people to listen to this podcast. Now people actually are, and it's kind of not in our control anymore. And the ball's rolling down the hill, and God knows what's going to happen. Like I kind of know actually. No, it's nowhere near that level. But it's just like that sense of like you can invite this thing in, right? You can invite the vampire over the threshold.
And then you can never
get it to leave.
Once you dance with the devil, you wait for the song to stop.
Exactly, that's it. And
once you dance with Jake Paul, you fucking hope the wind's not blowing because the poor cunt needs to go on dents.co.uk. Jacob 30 at checkout, by the way.
And so, like, what I just wanted to say on this next one, I'll just make sure that's the right one. Yeah. So, like, this is her doing a bit
She's
of SponCon.
a good-looking woman. Sorry, I know. Sorry, this is why we haven't
It's
done.
irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
That's failing the benchmark.
But
she is a good-looking woman, though.
I think that is part of the reason why she has gained some level of traction, is that people, mainly probably young men, I guess, find her conventionally attractive. But this video, right, is kind of the beginning of I would say, the fall, in that she's doing a bit of SponCon here. And
so at this point, she started the Talk Tuah podcast.
She started the Talk Tuah
sponsored
podcast.
by Jake Paul. He jumps in every now and then.
She's become a stop on the press tour for people.
So this is it. I will just, before we get, so I know you want to start this video, but I will just say, in terms of that podcast, and by the way, there is a fucking hilarious kind of parody podcast, which is like deconstructed.
It's called Talk Tuah, I think, and it's two blokes that are very funnily and sassily.
In American,
and they started out doing it quite genuinely, and it's become more scripted over time. It's really funny. They do a breakdown episode of every episode of the Talk Tuah podcast. And the Talk Tuah podcast is, and this is where it's kind of interesting, she probably was the funny one in her friendship group, and maybe she was going, I need a podcast. She's not great at it.
You listen, you watch her and you go, Graham Norton should have match of the day.
Exactly, yeah.
like to be an interviewer is a fucking tough job, and to regularly churn out a good podcast
it's really hard.
It's hard.
It's hard work.
It's $5.99 a month's worth of hard. Thank you.
And this is her doing a bit of SponCon for it, and I just want to kind of like, this is the toll that it's taken on her.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Hailey Welch, and after hundreds of songs sampling my voice, I took the hint. So I'm dropping my vocals exclusively on BeatStars November 19th. It's the #1 marketplace to buy and sell beats. And hell, if it's good enough for Wiz Khalifa and Taylor Gang, it's good enough for me. Now you can buy my vocal kit and use it to remix your tracks and beats. Go to beatstars.com/Hailey Welch to get my vocal pack with all the crazy shit that just happens to come out of my mouth.
Now,
wow,
we've talked about celebrities being looking like startled racehorses that are about to be put to sleep. Like, that looks like the toll of fame is visibly, it's like it's dragged any spark that she did have out of her, and now she's just doing this like, my name's Hailey Welch, you can get my, and it's just like this kind of automaton monotonousness. And I just think like that she just looks knackered as well, because she's presumably been like podcasting or TikToking for like 12 hours a day, every day, because Jake Paul needs to make money out of her.
She's like scratching at the door to get back to the spring factory.
Exactly, yeah.
Let me back. I just want to go make springs again. I don't want to have to do. I've been doing
I just
manscaped
feel
adverts
so
for
bad
12
about
hours
it.
every single day. Maybe that's right. Maybe this is her realising that the move to Juventus wasn't what she wanted actually, and she misses home, which I might have done. Maybe this is her realising that like, this isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yes.
This isn't as easy.
Yeah.
Fucking us sat here. It's not as easy as it looks, Hailey. You have to post a hat.
Unlucky, my darling. Thanks for playing.
No, yeah, but I know what you mean. I in terms of your Greek tragedy analogy, I see this. I see that this is. I mean, yeah, this is. This is the hints. The cracks are appearing.
Yes, and
the
then
fall is going to come. She sold out to Beat Track. I mean that's fucking. I'd love that.
What, to be able to sell out to beat tracks?
If people wanted, get on this.
Hello, my name's Jacob Borley, and if you want to remix your beats, you could use my voice at beattracks.com.
And a big wink and a kiss. To the ladies who listen, and a big wink and a kiss, and a big wink and a big wink and a big wink and a big wink and a big. Oi, get on this.
But so like just to kind of complete, and we'll kind of finish after this bit. But like, so she's doing this. We're not going to look at clips of the Talk Tuah podcast because it's just boring. She's kind of made this deal with the devil to a certain extent, or she's entered into this willingly, but it's cost her more than she thought. You'll have heard, I'm sure, that then what happened next is really quite serious. So she started up this meme coin, which is a Bitcoin with her name on it.
It's really quite serious.
But she could go to prison. She could definitely go to prison. It's serious. It's serious insofar as she could go to prison.
I know why you've prefaced it like that. But to start with that and go, so there was
this Hawk coin. She made a Hawk coin. Then it looks like either she was part of, knowingly or unknowingly, what is called a rug pull, which is where a celebrity, John Terry's done this, by the way.
Most footballers
a
have.
lot of footballers have. Start a coin. They get lots of people to invest in it. It artificially inflates the cost of the coin. They sell all of their coins. Therefore, taking the bottom out of the market, the coins are therefore worthless. Completely worthless. People who could have spent. Now, I would just say...
Yeah, I know where you're going.
If you are someone who is investing all of your savings in Hawk Tuah's Bitcoin, you deserve to have. You deserve to.
How good is the view of the ocean in Romford and the properties that you're going to sell me?
If you are someone who is interested in Hawk Coin, then let me tell you, I've got a 5-bedroom ocean view property in Romford with 2 swimming pools for just £10. You just send me £10 and I will give you that property.
This is what I was going to say, and I will say, by the way, like, you know, sympathies. I've been cryptoed.
You've been cryptoed, yeah.
I've been fucking done.
You've been rug pulled.
I've not quite been rug pulled. I've stayed up very late with the worst gambling addict I know.
You invested in Rosencoin.
I invested in XRP, Ethereum, which is that no? I've still got Ethereum. Ripple. I've still got one. I invested in Ripple. I stayed up all night doing gear with the biggest fucking gambling addict I know, who'd quit gambling but was really into crypto now. It's the same fucking thing, mate. And he was like, "No, bro, trust me, XRP." Right. This was during the crypto boom. Right. This is when it was fucking here.
Right.
I bought in at $2.5 per coin. Mm-hmm. I think I sold at 0.4 because it was the first time it had been above 0.3 in 3 years. Wow. The other day, someone was like, "You must feel gutted that you sold XRP. You must feel gutted you sold Ripple. It's gone big. It's gone big." I looked, it's at 1.2. Great. It's not even half of where it was when I fucking bought it. My mates on my group chat, they always share the graph of where it was, and it's like 2020 or whatever it was, 2018 when I bought it. It was like at the peak. And
the Jacob Hawley trench.
Jacob bought here, and then woo! Is it like, yeah? I'm sorry. If you're willing to invest all of your money in magic beans on the internet that don't exist, it's like the NFT thing. You know, I remember my mate being like, "I've
got a bored ape."
Yeah, I've got. It was called a dead fella.
No, it wasn't.
It was called a dead fella.
We should start ours. We should start ours. They should be called Fancy Boys.
Fancy Boys.
I've got a new Fancy Boy.
And there was that whole thing where people started like copying them. They were like, "Oh fuck, someone saved the fucking image." Shit.
I think it's all pathetic, and I do think that the overreaction.
It's on you.
The overreaction to her brand, the way that people were being like, she leveraged her trusted brand. She's been around for about 10 days.
Yeah,
this isn't fucking
a trusted brand.
This isn't Barack Obama, is it?
Trusted brand.
People trusted her. You know? What are you talking about? And I just like, the question is like, how far...
She spits on cocks. I'm sorry. If you have to wake your kids up one day and say, "You're not going to university, kids," why? I spent all the money on Hawk Coin. What's Hawk Coin? Do you know the Hawk Tuah? No, who's the Hawk Tuah? Okay, she spits on cocks, and I gave her our life savings.
Jake Farrell's an apologist for her.
That's on you.
And so then we'll just kind of finish on this. She did this rug pull, and then kind of, whether, again, maybe I'm being too sympathetic to her, maybe she's the criminal mastermind. These people, unknowingly or knowingly, did this using her name. She ended up doing, and we're not going to watch all of this, it's a really long video, but she ended up doing this called a Twitter Space, where you do like an audio live broadcast on Twitter. Yeah. And this guy, who's like a really, I think, knowledgeable kind of cryptocurrency journalist.
Is this post the crash?
Yeah, she's on this. She's on this thing. She's trying to explain herself. She's called a Twitter press conference. And this guy.
This is, in terms of her, like, if she's a football manager, this is when Jose's hair starts sticking up in the press conference.
This is like when a politician's been caught sucking someone off in a toilet. And they're like, "What should we do?" We're like, "We need to get out ahead of this story. Call a press conference." And it's like that thing in Ali G where it's like, "I then moved towards the horse and I fell." Anyway, this is her version of that. It's just spectacularly ill-advised. And this, we're just listening to the first like minute of it. It's this bloke just, it's not good.
This is one of the most miserable, horrible launches I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, then why the fuck are you on?
I've been tracing it on chain for a while. You guys generated over $1 million in fees while y'all's fans got rug pulled. There was snipers, but there was also insider trading directly linked to y'all's creator account. What are you guys doing?
No, that's not true.
Is that Jake Paul?
That's a fact.
No, it's just our manager.
It's a fact, and you can see it on chain. So
Yeah, we know. We trust me. We were there. We could answer that.
I'm not gonna.
you know about the insider trading?
No, there's no insider trading. That's why we can answer it.
Okay, so there's tokens
Coffeezilla,
going directly from the main account.
Coffeezilla, just chill for a second.
Coffeezilla, what the
fuck Who is that?
Definitely not us. You think we're doing this for 50K? Yeah, fucking right. Talking to the wrong guy. You're used to these bullshit scammers out here. Not us. Now, we had...
That's what everyone says, by the way.
Listen,
Not
no, I'm not everyone. There was a strategic allocation, right, through a foundation. Every single one of those...
This is all bullshit.
It sounds like Joseph Valente.
The deployer wallet... You've heard of a strategic allocation or a private
How much
sale.
did y'all get doing a pre-sale? How much did y'all make?
Yo.
It's not that
Selling
we
out
made.
your fans. So
Over
other
here,
people
can you give
dump on your fans.
Hold on, Coffeezilla, take a chill.
Coffeezilla.
Now the good guy,
Coffeezilla.
the good guy in this scenario is called Coffeezilla. That's fucking asteroid stuff, isn't it? That is asteroid coming to hit the earth. Thank you to the nobleman Coffeezilla looking out for the little Americans. That was the last so far that Hawk Tuah has been on social media. That was the end of her kind
not
of
posted since
hero's journey. No, because I mean, this guy, it gets worse than that. He just doesn't have any answers for them. I listened to about 4 minutes of it. And
Does
he just
she
keeps.
speak again?
No, she just says
She
that.
just
Why the
swore
fuck
at
are you
him.
on here? Then she just goes.
She just swore at Coffeezilla and then turned her microphone off. This is fucking brilliant.
Women are class.
You're right. Look. Yeah, women are class. Let's say that now. Women are class, man. Tell them what the fuck are you on here? And then turn the mic off. Nudge the manager. You fucking talk to
fucking explain.
Coffeezilla. I'm out. I'm out of here. Look,
You need to explain that we didn't do a rug pull. We did do a rug pull. I don't know. Just say something.
I can explain why. I can explain the inside trading. There was no inside trading. Explain it then. No. Look, I think you and I maybe disagree somewhat on what her motivations and intentions were prior to going big. I think since going big, what I quite liked is that the podcast seemed to be flatlining a little bit when she was trying to do the standard, like try and be Oprah, basically. Then she did start asking them if they spit on cocks. I noticed that a few weeks ago.
Yes.
So, do you have a Hawk Tuah? And all these comedians sort of like,
Play the hits. It's a real play the hits scenario, isn't it?
Then she unveiled Pookie. So there was a lot of. There's always been a Pookie. Even in the first fucking video, she was like, "I love Pookie," and then she kept Pookie secret for ages. Then she showed us Pookie, who's
Pookie became quite a lot more interested when she started getting loads of money. Apparently,
yeah. When Pookie realised he could quit the Spring Factory as well, Pookie was happy to show his face. And you're right, the Greek tragedy has occurred. She let the devil in. She kept saying yes. Was it going to be Beats Port that sold her out? No, it was.
Who knew it would be
Hawk
coin?
The Hawk, and now Coffeezilla is chasing her around the internet. Look, do you know my fear with this? I think ultimately she went big for being sexually explicit in a way that was
frank
surprising.
and funny. Yeah,
frank and funny, but surprising. And I think what a lot of people may have expected after that was the OnlyFans.
Which he never had any interest in, by the sounds of things.
Neither did Bevo.
Oh no! We can't end on. No.
I'm just gonna say. I think I don't know much about what happens when you create a Hawk coin. I suspect the legal battle
that is about to come
to dig your way out of the trouble you've got yourself in.
Oh my God.
That Coffeezilla's put you in. I think you need a lot of cash. I don't see Jake Paul running to her defense. My fear would be, and I'm sorry if this fails the Bechamel test, but my fear would be that that's where she has to turn.
Yeah.
Because what else do you do? Like, how else does she? Matt Rife hasn't invited her to many shows recently. I guess I'd finish this by like your your dream, like say, you know, I don't think you've ever dreamed of being famous or viral, right? But in this, you and I have both kind of, as we've said, spent money on PR agents to get us interviews, to boost our own profiles,
to try
so
and
that
sell
we can
tickets
do,
to
so
do
we can do
comedy.
the thing we want to do. If you're going down the shop later on to buy your 3 for £6 from Sainsbury's to last you a few days.
A visit from Mr. Madry, I presume?
Someone corners you, Vox Pop, you say something silly, viral, bang. Yeah. The next day they're interviewing, God rest your soul, not your grandparents, but your parents get interviewed, and you know, I say my piece, and I'm Jake Farrell, and you're big, and now the Farrell show, Screenwright's dead, it's the Farrell show, right? You know, you got James Corden coming to you to talk about what he's doing next with Gavin and Stacey. What do you think your arc would be? Where would you go if suddenly it was there? If suddenly you could do what you want, people want to hear you. People want to. It's like when Father Ted wins the Golden Cleric.
Yes.
What's your? Would you have a score to settle? Would you have a project you'd want to boost? Would you just cash out and try and do? Would you do Farrell coin? What would be your? What do you think your path would be?
I guess that's the cautionary tale. Is we all like to think that I would parlay that moment of viral sensation into writing the crime fiction novel I've always wanted to write. But we all know full well that it'd probably end up with me wanking someone off for money.
So you wouldn't do screenwrite porn, would you? No. What, sit here wanking each other off?
No, we'd never do that. Unless there was a legal battle we'd had to fight. And why would we have to fight a legal battle? We say fucking actionable stuff about people all the time.
Screenwrite POV. It's our Pornhub channel. Fucking Bonnie Blue, the demonic.
Please, man, don't say it while we're in the flat. It's horrible. It's not nice. Well, look, this is a cautionary tale of the internet, if ever we've seen one. Hopefully, we've dealt with it with the appropriate amount of sensitivity. Hopefully, we passed the Bechamel test. Hopefully, we passed the Gruyere test. Hopefully, we pass the Comté test. You never know.
Be careful out there.
Yes, be careful.
If you like to spit on your partner's genitals, don't we all, brother? If that's what you do, be careful who you tell. Because you can tell the wrong guy with the wrong ring light. Before you know it, you're being chased by CoffeeZilla around Twitter Spaces.
See you next week.